Friends, today we will go through Module 5, that is water harvesting and conservation. We will discuss introduction and water harvesting techniques. Water harvesting refers to collection and storage of water and also other activities aimed at harvesting surface and groundwater. Water harvesting is the process of collection and storage of rainwater, and other activities involved with this are prevention of losses through evaporation and seepage. So if we prevent the evaporation and the seepage, that means we are conserving that quantity of water. Hydrological studies and engineering interventions aimed at conservation. Efficient utilization of the limited water endowment of a physiographic unit such as a watershed. We know that water resource is limited based on a watershed area, and we are supposed to use it efficiently, which uh, which aids to conservation. In general, water harvesting is the activity of direct collection of rainwater. The rainwater collected can be stored for direct use and can be recharged into groundwater. But in general, we say that water harvesting means it is collection of rainwater, and this rainwater can be stored and directly used, or it can be used for the purpose of recharging the groundwater. Conservation of water in the agriculture sector is essential since water is necessary for the growth of plants and crops. A depleting water table and a rise in salinity due to irrigation is a serious matter. Various methods of water harvesting and recharging have been and are being applied all over the world to tackle the problem. Many times when the water table gets receded, we will face the problem of salinity in the irrigation, and various rain harvesting methods and recharging groundwater have been adopted to mitigate this problem. In areas where rainfall is low and water is scarce, the local people have used simple techniques that are, that are suited to their region and reduce the demand of water. So, in many places where the water is available in a scarce quantity, people have used some simple techniques of rain harvesting as well as conservation, and also they adopted the system to reduce the demand for water. Rajasthan, located in Great Indian Desert, receives hardly any rainfall, but people have adopted to the harsh conditions by collecting whatever rainfall. Rajasthan is located in the Indian desert, but and it receives very scanty rainfall, but people have adopted to these harsh conditions, and they have adopted the systems to collect the water whatever the rainfall occurs there. Large bunds to create reservoir known as Khandin dams called johats, tanks and other methods were applied to check water flow and accumulate runoff. At the end of the monsoon season, water from these structures was used to cultivate crops. So during that scanty monsoon period, they collected the water and created some reservoirs which were known as Khandin dams or johats, and they use this water at the end of the rainy season for cultivating the crops. What are the benefits of rainwater harvesting? To meet water demand for domestic, animal and recreational use, to provide life-saving supplemental irrigation to crops and plantation, to augment groundwater recharge, to improve moisture status of the soil profile, to reduce soil erosion, to help in peak flood retardation, prevent soil erosion and flooding, especially in urban areas. The total annual rainfall in an area may be enough to sustain farm needs. It is often distributed very unevenly so that long dry periods are interspersed with periods of intense rainfall. The total annual rainfall may be enough to sustain the farm needs, but the average rainfall doesn't help because there is a the rainfall is distributed very unevenly. That means in sometimes we get a very heavy rainfall and it is followed by dry spells. In many cases, a crop is unable to use a high proportion of this water as much of it is lost through runoff or leaching. This may also cause soil erosion and loss of soil nutrients. So when there is an intense rainfall and the crops are not able to use all this water for the growth purpose and lot of quantity is wasted through runoff and it also causes the leaching and it leads to soil erosion and loss of soil nutrients. Water harvesting techniques gather water from an area termed the catchment area and channel it to cropping area wherever it is required. Water harvesting is a technique which collects the water from the catchment area and provides it for cropping area. Conservation techniques conserve water within the biomass and the soil by reducing runoff and keeping the water where it falls as much as possible. So, the rain harvesting, the conservation techniques conserve the water within a given biomass and the soil by reducing the runoff. Some key principles on effective water management are: use rainwater effectively. The key principles involved in effective water management are: use rainwater effectively. In many climates, rainfall is distributed unevenly in intense downpours that cannot be readily used by a crop. Storage techniques increase the availability of water in the drier seasons. Make effective use of soil water reserves. The soil stores water from rainfall, providing a reserve that is available to the crop. How much water is available depends on the soil type and the rooting system of the crop. Sandy soils hold much less water than clay or silt soils, so crops will require watering more often. Take measures to avoid runoff. Runoff is where water is not absorbed by the soil but runs across the surface away from where the crop can use it. Structures such as contour schemes, terracing pits, and bunds can reduce the runoff. Avoid wasting water through evaporation. Water that evaporates directly from bare soil is wasteful as it is not being used for productive plant growth. Water that evaporates directly from the bare soil is a waste and that cannot be used for the productive plant growth. It is desirable to maintain full ground cover for as much of time as practically possible. So, to avoid the evaporation or to reduce the rate of evaporation, it is desirable to have a ground cover as much as time practically it is possible. Applying mulch to the soil will also reduce evaporation considerably. Applying or mulching is the method where the evaporation can be reduced. Mulching means covering the soil between crop rows and or around trees with a layer of loose material such as dry grass, straw, crop residues, leaves, manure or compost. So you use the available material like dry grass, straw or the crop residue or the leaves or the manure or the compost to mulch the area in between the crops, in between the uh, surface available between the crops or around the trees. This helps to retain soil moisture by limiting evaporation, suppressing weed growth, and enhancing soil structure, reducing runoff, protecting the soil from splash erosion, and limiting the formation of crust. Use of drip irrigation and irrigating in the evening will also reduce the amount of water lost through evaporation. The another method to reduce the evaporation is use of drip irrigation or applying the water for the irrigation purpose in the evening. Reduce water losses through drainage. When water drains out out of the soil. Not only it is wasted, but essential mobile nutrients such as nitrogen are also washed out. This is more of a problem on light sandy soils. Adding organic matter in the form of compost, manures or plant residues will eventually increase the amount of water a soil can retain. So in many cases where the permeability of the soil is more, lot of water is wasted through seepage, and this especially happens in the sandy or the light sandy soils. So if you add organic matter or compost or the available material like tree leaves, etc., so it will reduce the seepage, or the amount of water held by the soil can be retained more. Plan your irrigation. Irrigation is one of supplementing water from rainfall and soil reserves, but can waste large amounts of water if not used carefully. A key way of making the most of the water supply is to only irrigate when necessary. Many people irrigate on a regular basis whether the crop needs it or not. So we have to plan our irrigation systems to conserve the water or use the water most efficiently, because we are in the habit of applying the water even though when the crop doesn't need it. If water is scarce, irrigation should be restricted to the most critical periods such as germination and fruit set. So depending on the scientific practice of agriculture, that means whenever the water requires and the quantity required by them only can be applied. That means during it needs the water, more water during germination and when it at the time of harvesting or the fruit set. Drip, drip irrigation makes much better use of water than overhead system, as it is targeted to the roots rather than sprayed up into the air. So drip irrigation is the best solution because it targets only the roots for the application of the water rather than it is sprayed into the air like sprinklers. People's principles of water harvesting and conservation. In deciding which techniques to use to make more efficient use of available water, it is important to consider how crops receive or lose water. So we need to understand the crop requirement. So how much quantity of water it has to receive, or how much quantity will be lost by the plants while adopting the different techniques for water conservation. Rainwater harvesting techniques. There are two main techniques of rainwater harvesting. One, storage of rainwater on surface for future use, recharge to groundwater. The two techniques which are involved are to store the surface water or to make it to seep below the ground for recharging the groundwater. The storage of rainwater on surface is a traditional technique, and structures used where tanks, ponds, check dams, weirs, etc. Storage of rainwater is being traditionally, and the techniques used are construction of tanks, ponds, check dams, weirs, etc. Recharge to groundwater is a new project of rainwater harvesting, but recharging the groundwater is a new concept of the water conservation and rain harvesting. The structures generally used are pits. Recharge pits are constructed for recharging the shallow aquifer. If the aquifer is shallow, only the pits can be dug to recharge the groundwater. The aquifer is porous, water saturated layers of sand, gravel, or bedrock that can yield significant or usable amount of water. These are constructed 1 to 2 meter wide and 1 to 1.5 meter deep, which are backfilled with boulders, gravels, coarse sand. So there are some artificially made some aquifers are made artificially by making the pits of size 1 to 2 meter wide and 1 to 1.5 meter deep, and they are backfilled with boulder, gravel, coarse sand, which aids the water to seep down trenches These are constructed when the permeable rock is available at a shallow depth. Trench may be zero point 0.5 to 1 meter wide, 1 to 1.5 meter deep, and 10 to 20 meter long, depending upon the availability of water. These are backfilled with filter materials. Similarly, like a pit, you can go for a trench of 20 meter long. Dug wells. Existing dug wells may be utilized as recharge structure and water should pass through filter media before putting into the dug well. If already there are dug wells in the given area, the same may be used for the purpose of recharging, and same time the water should be made to pass through a filter media. Hand pumps. The existing hand pumps may be used for recharging shallow, deep aquifers if the availability of water is limited. Water should pass through filter media to avoid choking of recharge wells. Recharge wells. Recharge wells of 100 to 200 dia are generally constructed for recharging the deeper aquifer and water is passed through filter media to avoid choking of recharge wells. Sometimes the if the aquifer is situated deep, then we go for recharge wells of 300 to 300 diameter. Recharge shafts. For recharging the shallow aquifer, which is located below clayey surface, recharge shafts of 0.5 to 3 meter dia and 10 to 25 meter deep are constructed and backfilled with boulders, gravels, and coarse sand. Lateral shaft with bore wells. For recharging the upper as well as the deeper aquifers, lateral shafts of 1.5 to 2 meter wide and 10 to 30 meter long, depending upon availability of water, with one or two bore wells is constructed. The lateral shaft is backfilled with boulders, gravels, and coarse sand. Traditional water harvesting structures. The practice of harvesting rainwater in India dates back dates back to river valley civilization times when the need to create water source that would remain both clean and provide plentiful were recognized. So water harvesting is a very old system which has been adopted since the river valley civilizations have come up. To collect the water, it should be both clean and it should be available in plenty. Some of the traditional water harvesting structures are called jing, tanks for collecting water from melted ice found in Trans-Himalayan region of Ladakh. Kul, water channels in mountain areas found in western Himalayas in Jammu and Himachal Pradesh. Baolis, Baoris, step wells found in northwest India, Indo-Gangetic Plains, Chand Baroi, Rajasthan. Johars, earthen check dams found in Alwar district, Rajasthan. Chandela tanks. These tanks were constructed by stopping the flow of water in rivulets flowing between hills by erecting massive earthen embankments, usually convex curvatures having width of 60 meter or more, and they are found in Rajasthan. Bandaras or check dams or diversion weirs built across rivers, a traditional system found in Maharashtra. Their presence raises the water level of the river so that it begins to flow into channels. They are also used to impound water and form a large reservoir. Where a bandara was built across a small stream, the water supply would usually last for a few months after the rains. Most bandaras are defunct today. PAD, the community managed PAD irrigation system prevalent in northwestern Maharashtra, probably came into existence some 300 to 400 years ago. The system operated on three rivers in the Tapi Basin: Panjara, Mosam, and Aram in Dhule and Nasik districts. The system starts with a bandara built across a river
from the bandaras branch out kalwas or canals to carry water into the fields. So path system is a system where the water is stored by construction of the a structure which stores the water, and canals are built to carry water into the fields. Saza Kuva is an open well with multiple owners. Saza Kuva is the most important source of irrigation in the Aravalli Hills in Mewar, eastern Rajasthan. The soil dug out to make the well pit is used to construct a huge circular foundation or an elevated platform sloping away from the well. The first is built to accommodate, accommodate the Rehat, a traditional water lifting device. The sloping platform is for the chada, in which buffaloes are used to lift water. Saza construction is generally taken up by a group of farmers with adjacent land holdings. A harwa, a man with special skills in groundwater detection, helps fix the site. So Saza is a system where in eastern Rajasthan where the open wells are dug, and it is done with participation of the community or cooperation of the farmers adjoining to certain area. So they come together to take up this system, and a dug well is done, and the dug material is used for raising the platforms to provide the lifting arrangements. Virdas or shallow wells dug in low depression called jheels. They are found all over Banni grasslands, a part of Great Run of Kutch in Gujarat. They are systems built by nomadic Maldaris who used to these roam these grasslands. Now settled, they persist in using virdas. These structures harvest rainwater. Kaldin, also called a dhora, is an igneous construction designed to harvest surface runoff water for agriculture. Its main feature is a very long 100 to 300 meter earthen embankment built across the lower hill slopes lying below gravelly uplands. Sluices and spillways allow excess water to drain off. The Khadin system is based on the principle of harvesting rainwater on farmland and subsequent use of this water saturated land for crop production. Khatris are structures about 10 to 12 feet in size and 6 feet deep, carved out in the hard rock mountain. These traditional water harvesting structures are found in Hamirpur, Kangra, and Mandi districts of Himachal Pradesh. There are two types of Khatris, one for animals and washing purpose, in which rainwater is collected from the roof through pipes, and other used for human consumption, in which rainwater is collected by seepage through rocks.
Bamboo drip irrigation. Meghalaya has an igneous system of tapping of stream and spring water by using bamboo pipes to irrigate plantations. About 18 to 20 liters of water entering the bamboo pipe system per minute gets transported over several hundred meters and finally gets reduced to 20 to 80 drops per minute at the site of the plant. This 200-year-old system is used by the tribal farmers of Khasi and Jaintia and Jaintia hills to irrigate irrigate their black pepper cultivation. Bamboo pipes are used to divert perennial springs on the hilltops to the lower reaches by gravity. This is a very crude system of drip irrigation which was used in Meghalaya since and this is a 200-year-old system. Kund looks like an upturned cup nestling on a saucer. The structure looks like a cup which is placed down on a saucer. These structures harvest rainwater for drinking and dot the sandier tracts of the Thar Desert in western Rajasthan and some areas in Gujarat. So usually these structures are found in the desert area of Rajasthan and also in some parts of Gujarat where it collects the water from that saucered area to a well which, which is at the center of that saucer. Essentially a circular underground well, kunds have a saucer shaped catchment area that gently slopes towards the center where the well is situated. A wire mesh across water inlets prevents debris from falling into the well pit. So they are protected by the wire meshes to avoid the debris to enter the wells. The sides of the well pit are covered with lime and sand. Most pits have a dome shaped cover. You can see the dome like structure over the wells, or sometimes it may be a flat lid also to protect the water. Quees berries are found in western Rajasthan. These are 10 to 12 meter deep pits dug near tanks to collect the seepage. These are 20 quees which are found in Rajasthan, especially in western Rajasthan, are 10 to 12-meter deep pits dug near the tanks to collect the seepage. Quees can also be used to harvest rainwater in areas with meager rainfall. The mouth of the pit is usually made very narrow. This prevents the collected water from evaporating. Since the opening at the top of the this deep pit is narrow, it avoids the or it reduces the rate of evaporation. The pit gets wider as it burrows under the ground so that water can seep into a large surface area. The openings of entirely these opening of these entirely kacha structures are generally covered with planks or woods. Just to avoid the accidents, the opening at the ground level are covered with structures like plank of woods are put under lock and key, and the water is used sparingly as a last resource in the crisis of situation. So this water is used at the time of crisis. Boweries or burrs are community wells found in Rajasthan that are used mainly for drinking purposes. So these wells are mainly used for drinking purposes. Most of them are very old and were built by Banjaras, that is, they are the mobile trading communities for the drinking water needs. They can hold water for a long time because of almost negligible water evaporation. You can see the picture where these wells are covered by the structures to avoid or to reduce the rate of evaporation. And as we have seen that many of such conservation systems are being used or were being used in Rajasthan where the rainfall is very scanty. The planning of artificial recharge projects, basic requirements of the artificial recharge are availability of non-committed runoff in space and time, identification of suitable hydrogeological environment and sites for augmenting subsurface reservoir through cost-effective artificial recharge techniques. The basic requirements are we should have a non-committed runoff space and time. That means it should not be used for other purposes. Identification of suitable hydrogeological site, and the technique should be cost-effective artificial recharge method. The remaining criteria are identification of areas where groundwater levels are declining on regular basis, areas where substantial amount of aquifer has already been desaturated. So we should have a desaturated aquifer, areas where availability of groundwater is inadequate in lean months, and the areas should be identified. They should be such that there should be inadequate availability of groundwater during the lean months, that is during the dry spells of the rain, areas where salinity ingress is taking place, urban areas where decline in water levels is observed. Then hydrogeological studies, rainfall pattern in the area, evaporation losses from the area. Climatological features that affect the planning of artificial recharge. Then hydrological studies, in situ precipitation on the watershed, surface supplies from large reservoirs located within the basin, such as it may be from canals also, surface supplies through trans-basin water transfer, treated municipal and industrial waste waters, hydrological investigations are be carried out in watershed, sub-basin or basin for determining the source of water availability. The hydrological study should also be involved, like the study of precipitation in that particular watershed area, or the surface supplies may be from some seepage through canals, etc., and surface supply through trans-basin transfers, if any, and the treated water available from the municipal and industrial area, maybe it may be wastewater also. Then soil infiltration studies consist of control the rate of infiltration, prerequisite study in case of artificial recharge through water spreading methods. Infiltration rates can be estimated by soil infiltration test using cylinder or flood infiltrometer meters instruments. So we should study the soil infiltration properties also of the soil which is to be recharged. Hydrogeological studies, it is the prime important study. First step is to synthesize all the available data on hydrology from different agencies. Study of satellite imagery for different identification of geomorphic units. So hydrology study should be also carried out, and we should analyze all the available data available from the different agencies, including the satellite imagery for identification of the geomorphic units. Regional hydrogeological maps indicating hydrogeological units both at shallow and deeper levels. So hydrological mapping should be done for both the shallow and deep aquifers. Water table contours to determine the form of the water table and the hydraulic connection of groundwater with rivers, canals, etc. to the water table for the period of the maximum, minimum and mean annual positions of water table. Water table contours study should also be carried out in order to find out the hydraulic connection of the groundwater with the rivers and canals, and also to determine the water table for the periods of the maximum, minimum and mean annual position of the water table. Groundwater potential of different hydrological units and the level of groundwater development. So different hydrogeological units or the aquifers will have different potential of holding the water and hence the different groundwater levels. So we should be studying that also. Chemical quality of groundwater in different aquifers. Also we should study the chemical quality of the aquifer. Aquifer geometry, data on the subsurface hydrological units, their thickness and depth of occurrence, deposition of hydraulic properties of unconfined, semi-unconfined and unconfined aquifers in the areas. So you should study also the geometry of that aquifer consisting of the thicknesses of different confined, unconfined or semi-confined layers. Chemical quality of source water. Quality of raw water available for recharge is to determine. So we should also study the quality of the raw water to determine the treatment before being used for recharge. If it requires a treatment before recharge, it should be studied. Relations to the changes in the soil structure and the biological phenomena which take place when infiltration begins. Because of the chemical quality of the water, changes may occur in subsoil structure or the soil structure and the biological phenomena of the soil if such water is being infiltrated. Changes expected to the environment conditions. Due to these changes, is there any impact on the environment is to be studied. Artificial recharge techniques and design. A variety of methods have been developed to recharge groundwater. Artificial recharge techniques can be broadly categorized into following categories. Direct surface techniques. The direct surface techniques of the artificial recharge include flooding. You can flood the water when it is available on the large area. Basins or percolation tanks. You can construct the basins of the percolation tanks. Stream augmentation, ditch and furrow system, over irrigation. These are the direct surface techniques. Direct subsurface techniques are also there. Injection wells or recharge wells, recharge pits and shafts. Dug well, recharge, borehole flooding, natural openings, cavity fillings, etc. These are the direct infiltration methods. Then combination surface and subsurface techniques. So you can combine both the surface techniques and the subsurface techniques like basin or percolation tanks with pits, shafts or wells in it. So you can construct some percolation tanks or some other structures to hold the water. At the same time you can have some pits or shafts or bore wells in this tank area so that the infiltration takes place. And there are indirect techniques also. Induced recharge from surface water source and aquifer modification. These are some of the indirect techniques. Although no two projects are identical, most use variation or combination of direct method, direct subsurface method or indirect techniques. Many times the above techniques are combined to have a better efficiency. Okay, thank you.